It's been brought to my attention that a couple of seasons ago I may have made some comments about the Ipswich Town Board that may have represented them in a negative light regarding the sale of Joshua Emanuel. I'd like to go on record at this point to say that was a load of nonsense. The Ipswich Board are awesome, and this is why. Hello and welcome to Season 10, Episode 1 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we've got the first game of a new Premier League season away at Manchester City. But before we get into any of that stuff, exciting stuff has been happening at Ipswich over the summer. Why am I starting on the club facility screen, I hear you ask? This is why. In 2 years' time, we're going to be moving into the 43,000 capacity Alf Ramsey Arena. The board have gone out and splurged £100 million on getting us a nice big ground, fancy facilities. They've invested in the training facilities and the youth facilities. They're going to be ready in October. They've gone out and spent a massive ton of cash to try and allow this club to build towards being a proper established Premier League side. It's a bit premature if you ask me, in light of how much they were struggling for money just a year ago when we were still in the Championship. But clearly they're gambling on success, and they're not just gambling on success with the facilities and the ground. They have seriously backed me in the transfer market this summer as well. It really is a do or die season for us. If we look at the transfers that have come in this summer, most notable of all, we've spent £75 million this summer. It is utterly ridiculous for a team that finished 17th in the Premier League, but they've let me do it, and even more ridiculously, they've let me do it and still put my season's expectations at avoiding relegation again. So even if it all goes wrong, as long as we don't finish any lower than we did last year, I get to hang around for another year and get that step closer to moving into the shiny new ground. This might become a long-term career dealie at Ipswich. There might be a chance to get onto that Legends page or Icons page or whatever it is with Alf Ramsey and Bobby Robson. Maybe. Perhaps getting a bit ahead of myself. But let's run through these transfers. The first two you will be very familiar with. I said I wasn't very confident of bringing either of them back. Not only have I brought Nicholas Dane and Johnny Vaughan back, they're signed for us permanently. Yes, I've probably overpaid for both of them, particularly Vaughan. But let's have a look at Dane first of all. Yeah, ignore those downward arrows. He's been injured. They'll sort themselves out. But Dane, we know all about him. He's been at the club for the last 3 seasons now. He's been an incredibly important member of the team that got promoted from the Championship, the team that survived in the Premier League last season. He comes in for £15 million. You know what? It keeps Zaman and Dane together at the back. I would have been happy with just this transfer alone, to be honest. He's been such an important player for us, and to get him at the club permanently, he's got potential to get even better. He could be a top Premier League centre-back in a few years' time. He's still only 21 years old. We've had him since he was 18, and it is really exciting to have him as a permanent member of the squad. Likewise, Johnny Vaughan, yes, I know we've spent £20 million on him, but remember, this lad was labelled as the next Paul Gascoigne, hopefully just in footballing terms. Again, we've had him since he was 18. He's 21 years old now. I fully expected him to go back to Man United and establish himself in their first team squad this season. We made an inquiry for him cheekily. They quoted £35 million. We've wheedled them down to £20 million, the bulk of which is being paid off over the next 4 years. So we've only actually paid about £5 million up front right now for him. Again, it's another one of those kind of gambling on staying in the Premier League, because if we get relegated, we've got big transfer fees to pay off and a new ground. If Ipswich go down, administration is going to follow quickly, and we could easily do a Portsmouth and just tumble through the leagues. But hopefully that's not going to happen. Johnny Vaughan was linked with a call-up to the England squad towards the end of last season. He's still only 21 years old. Again, has the potential to go on and become a real top-quality Premier League player. For a short time, he was described as a wonder kid. He's not got the wonder kid message on there anymore since he signed for us. That's a bit of a worry. But again, he's just a top quality player. I know we've overpaid for him, but I wanted players who were familiar with the way we played. And I think I said this to someone in the comments on YouTube about Zaman this time last year. If we look at it this way, we've had Johnny Vaughan at the club for the last 2.5 years. If he'd have come through our youth team and someone had offered us £20 million for him this summer, would I have sold him? And the honest answer is no, I wouldn't. He's got the potential to be absolutely incredible. If we could have kept hold of him, we would have turned down £20 million bids for him. So using that same logic, he's only ever played for us. He's been here since he was 18. Yeah, too right. I'm going to spend £20 million on him. It may be over the odds, but the value that he provides to us as a team is worth £20 million as far as I'm concerned. And then it all got a little bit silly from then on. Firstly, we have our left back that we were looking for, Will Leach. He's only on loan for the season, but, you know, the last 3 players now who've been on long-term loan with us, we've ended up signing. So I'm hopeful that we might be able to rob him off Chelsea next summer. He's 19 years old. Looks like he's going to be a really, really good left back. He's already as good as Haidara. And hopefully a season of competing with Haidara for first team place for us. I'd like to think by the end of the season he's established as our first choice left back, and then we can do a similar thing that we've done with Zaman, Dane and Vaughan and bring him in permanently. And again, another young English player, bags of potential. Very excited at the prospect of hopefully getting him in permanently a year down the line. And then I went a bit nuts on signing foreign players, particularly Brazilian, South American type people. This lad, Lacio, we're going to need a nickname for him. Let me know in the comments what we're going to call him. But he's an actual wonder kid. It says wonder kid on there. He's a striker. He can play up front or behind the front too. He just looks like he's going to be a very, very good player. He's only 19 years old. He's been playing for Corinthians. I mean, he's only got 2 goals in 20 games, which is a bit worrying. But they're mostly as substitutes. Physically, look at those physical stats for a 19-year-old. It's mental. And he's only going to get better. And, I mean, he's already played 14 under-20 caps for Brazil. He could go on to be a full Brazilian international, and we've got him at Ipswich. And we've got a Brazilian wonder kid at Ipswich. I don't care. I wanted him. I don't care if he's no good. A Brazilian wonder kid for $5 million. I wasn't going to say no. We've also brought in Carlos Isabella, who's an Argentinian centre-back. He's already played 1 appearance for the full Argentinian national team. He comes in from Boca Juniors, where he's been established for the last couple of years as a first-team player. And we basically plucked him out of their current first team midway through their season. Unfortunately, he picked up an injury as soon as he arrived, so we're not going to get to see him play today. But along with Zaman and Dane, we've now, well, and Leader as well, who came in as a right back last season, we've got 4 really talented centre backs who could all go on to be top Premier League players. We're building a squad for the future here. This guy, Christian Arendt, £3.9 million from Dortmund. This one was a bit of an accident. I was looking for a backup striker to sort of be behind Ambrose and Smith and the new guy, or however you say it. This guy came at £3.9 million, and I thought, oh yes, we'll have him. Let's have a look. Oh, hang on. Look at all these goals. He scored 4 goals in 5 games for Dortmund last season. Hang on, look at all these goals he got for Dortmund B. This lad's a goal scorer. Hang about. He's our best striker at the club now. And he only cost £3.9 million. He's lightning quick. He's a good finisher. Hang on, we've got another player here, 23 years old. 8 goals in 8 games for Germany under 21s. The young and hungry policy at Ipswich is coming good. We've then brought in another right back, Andrew Preston, 19-year-old Scottish player, came in from Hearts. He's already played a game for Scotland. He's spotting a theme here. He's not good enough for our first team yet, so Leader will continue at right back for the time being, but Preston's only 19. He's one for the future. I would like to think towards the end of the season he'll start pushing for a first team spot, and for £4.6 million seems like a bit of a bargain. Could go on to be a real top quality centre back. This guy Chris, bearing in mind all those players we've already signed, Chris I think will be our most important signing of the summer. It's a real shame he's picked up a broken ankle in pre-season, so we're not going to get to meet him until getting on for Christmas. He's another Brazilian, but he is comfortably our best central midfielder at the club now. He can play as a box-to-box midfielder. He can play as the central midfielder, as on defensive. He can even have a go as roaming playmaker. He can play anywhere in our midfield 3. Look at those stats. I mean, he's just going to be immense when he comes into the side. It's a real shame we're not going to get to see him straight away. But really looking forward to him coming into the side. And then the last 3, we had a little bit of money left, unbelievably, after all that. So I've brought in a few youngsters just to fill out the squad, give us a couple of extra young players knocking around, cover for injuries, development for the future, thinking ahead, that kind of thing. So Vicente Herrero is a 22-year-old Spanish centre-back. He comes in for £2.5 million from Valladolid, where he's been playing, for the last several years now. He's not going to be coming straight into our first team. He's the 5th best centre-back at the club, or 4th if you consider Leader to still be a right-back. So he's not going to be pestering the first team anytime soon, but he's good enough to come in. I mean, we probably didn't need to keep Dominic Ball hanging around the squad anymore. So Dominic Ball's gone on his way, along with a Matt who we agreed to sell before the end of the season. So now we've got yet another young up-and-coming centre-back. A little bit of a worry we don't have any experience at all at centre-back. But Dane and Zaman have got 3 seasons with us under their belt already. They might not be old, but they're experienced, and they're experienced with us, which is important. We've then brought in another young Czech goalkeeper. I've learnt nothing from Mika. Ivan Stanek comes in from Spurs. He's played 2 games for the Czech Republic already, but so has Mika. He's come in from Spurs for just under £5 million. He was their 3rd choice. He's going to come in and be our 2nd choice probably behind Garrett, fighting out for a spot on the bench with Sotres. Again, he's a bit of a gamble in the same way Mika was. We've actually sold Mika onto QPR now for next to nothing. So he comes in as our young Czech gamble who might end up being any good. I was just throwing money around at this point. I realise the money has gone to my head and this is silly. I know this is silly. I know this has disrupted squad harmony, but I couldn't stop myself. And then the last one, Joe Shaw, 17-year-old English striker, comes in from Fulham. Fits our mould of being a big lad who has the potential to go on and be very, very good. He's obviously not going to be anywhere near our first team for a long while. He's the 8th best striker at the club. He's not even as good at playing up front as Sebastian Kirk is. And Kirk won't get anywhere near Portman Road at any point this season. But he's only 17. We'll bring him in. He got 10 goals in 24 games for Chelmsford. And he's got potential. And for £1 million, the last 2 strikers we signed for £1 million were Henry Smith and Thierry Ambrose. So it couldn't really help myself. I think we've covered most of the lads who've left. Matt and Ball have both gone. Maraglia has disappeared back into Europe somewhere with his tail between his legs, and Mika has gone as well. Other than that, the only significant departures, Tommy Orr and Marek Rodak, both left on free transfers, but we haven't seen them in the team for a couple of years now anyway. In fact, Rodak never made it past the bench for us. And then it was just a bunch of youngsters who departed. So what that means team-wise is not a massive change from where we were this time last year. It's the peril of bringing in a lot of young players who are going to be good but might not be quite there yet. So potentially we could suffer, certainly early in the season. It's a massive gamble. I realise we could be seen by some to have weakened the squad even. We're playing Man City away on the first game of the season. Because we've brought in all those players, our tactical familiarity has gone down to competent, which I'm not really happy with, because the only player in that team who wasn't here last season is Arendt. Everyone else probably played the last game of the season. So I'm not really sure why that hammers us down from almost fluid all the way down to competent. I know there's a lot of unfamiliar players on the bench, but I'm not sure that makes it competent. But the new players will filter into the side as the season goes on. I don't want to bring in too many too soon, mainly because of this tactical familiarity thing. I think personally that should change depending on who's on the pitch, but I guess it's looking at the squad as a whole. And the squad as a whole, when we brought in 12 players, aren't particularly familiar with this tactic, so I can kind of understand that. But the team we're playing against Man City today, we've got Garrett in goal, who did go to the Euros with England. He didn't play a game, but he is now England's third choice goalkeeper. A back 4 of Leader, Haidara, Dane and Zaman. Haidara keeps his place in the side for now, but Will Leach is very much breathing down his neck. In midfield, we've gone for Almeida, Cool and Texera, purely because they're used to playing together. They were the 3 who came in at January. Chris will definitely come in as and when he's fit. Christensen is going to be pushing for a spot there as well. Other than that, anyone else who may have been around before, we're probably not going to see very much of. Zabeldia is not really going to get a game. Jack Wilshere, Henry Lansbury, they're not going to get games this season. You may as well forget those players exist. And then the front 3, Johnny Vaughan is going to be in behind Henry Smith and Christian Arendt. We've got Thierry Ambrose on the bench, but, I mean, really, it was a coin toss between the 3 of them up front. Ambrose could easily have played. in place of either of them. And we've got Lazio, our Brazilian wonder kid, is actually going to be fourth choice striker. What of course that means is Keziah Sterling has massively fallen down the pecking order. He would now be considered fifth choice striker, I guess. So I'm listening to offers for him, but no one seems to want him. Bearing in mind he was almost in the England squad. He did make it into the 30-man squad, didn't make it to the Euros. And he scored all those goals in the Championship last season. I'm surprised no one's come in with a £5 million bid for him. But no one has. So he's just going to be offering his experience to help develop these younger players, and obviously maybe dig us out of a hole if some of these new players end up being trash. Let's get into the game. I'm not expecting fireworks against Man City. I have decided to go with the attacking version of our formation because I want to get us familiar with that as soon as possible. I realise that means in games like this, away against big teams, we are potentially going to take a hit because of doing that. And we're kind of willing to accept that this game is probably going to result in a defeat and not worry about it, because obviously we're supposed to lose against Man City. So anything over that is just going to be a bonus. But I'm excited about all these players. I hope it doesn't massively backfire. I realise, the board have effectively spent over £200 million investing in the future of this football club over the summer, with training facilities, youth facilities, a new ground, and a whole bunch of players under the age of 23 who could go on to be brilliant. So if we can just get through the next 6 months, 18 months maybe, the future is really, really bright for Ipswich. If this squad can stay in the Premier League and stay together, ready for when they move into the new ground in 2 years' time, I don't see why we couldn't be a Europa League team, maybe, possibly even more, which for a club the size of Ipswich is ridiculous. But I don't know, the board seem to be really backing me, which, considering the nonsense around selling Emmanuel, I don't really get. We did look at re-signing him because obviously Bournemouth got relegated, but he's only got 2-star current ability now according to our scouts, so obviously we've moved on, he hasn't. So he made his bed, he can sleep in it, and he can play in the Championship for Bournemouth next season. Serves him right for going. Somehow I've waffled through a first half where it looks like we're going to go in at half-time 0-0, despite only having one shot and that being off target and not having much in the way of possession. That must be quite frustrating if you're Manchester City at the moment. Hopefully we can continue that into the second half. Not the one shot bit. I'd quite like to have there you go. We had 2 cheeky shots at the end of the half. Neither of them on target still. It would be lovely to go and nick a goal. It would be ridiculous if we did, because obviously I still maintain we should be losing this match. The board expectation is just get to 40 points, just survive. I would like to think if the new players come in, develop quickly and gel, which is a big ask because they've all come in from, well, most of them have come in from abroad. A significant chunk of them have come in from South America. It's going to take a long time to adapt. But part of me thinks mid-table this season, maybe. We'll see how these first couple of games go, I guess. We could get absolutely battered in these first few games and it becomes a season-long relegation battle again, which wouldn't be the end of the world as long as we stay up. Right, Ambrose can come on now. Aaron hasn't had a very good debut. And then what else have we got? I'm going to take off Almeida as well and bring on Christensen. And we'll just shuffle everyone around a little bit and do that. I want to bring Lazio on for the last 10 minutes or so, just because I'm excited at having a Brazilian wonder kid. He might never score a goal for us, but just the idea of having him around is exciting to me. Haidara got in quite a decent cross there. Jack Butland's playing in goal for Man City. Who'd have thought? Vaughan now. Oh, what happened there? Was that a little through ball or was he shoved off the ball? Not really sure what that was. Did I call him Jack Vaughan then? Johnny Vaughan. We could change his name to Jack. I'm still not comfortable calling him Johnny Vaughan. It's stupid. Oh, there you go. We're 1-0 down. Like I said, not the end of the world. And to be honest, only 1-0 at this point in the game is actually pretty good. City won the Charity Shield last weekend, or whatever it's called this week, beating United. So they're going to be right up there challenging. They finished third in the Premier League last season. So for us to be even anything close to competitive against them is fine at this stage. We don't expect to go to a team like this and do well. Whoa, what's happened to Henry Smith? He's injured. Well, we were bringing Lazio on anyway, but now we have to. Right, which way round do we play these two? Guess we do that. I don't think it really matters. They could probably both play in either of those positions. You never know. He might be about to make himself a superstar by getting us the equaliser. Well, we've had one shot on target. Not great, is it? But more important than that, City have only had one clear-cut chance. Ambrose is through here, but takes too long over it. Christensen finds Leader, who finds Cool. Haidara's in here. Why would you shoot there? He got a taste of scoring a goal at the end of last season. Just square it to either of the strikers sat in the penalty area, and we equalise. I'm not really sure what his thought process was there, and I don't know what happened. The ball just bounced off Thierry Ambrose there. I just think he was half asleep, and their defender came through him. See, I wish it wasn't 1-0. They're going to score here to make my wish come true, but I don't want to be sat here hoping for an equaliser at this stage, because I'm trying to be realistic and sensible and not get ahead of myself. I'm already far too overexcited with all the money we've spent. But this has been a decent-ish showing, really. Fairly even for possession. We've done all right for shots in the end. I would have liked to see a few more of them be on target. Have we just given away a penalty? We have. And Leader's been sent off. I don't even know what he did there. Was that a second yellow card? Maybe. What do we do here? You can go there. In fact, we'll do that. I mean, it's going to be for the last minute. It doesn't really matter. It means the youngster from Hearts, Preston, was that his name? Guess he's going to get an early debut for us in the next game. Have we got another right? Oh, we've got Almeida, of course, who can play it right back as well. I might use him. I'll have a ponder. I mean, I suppose playing Almeida there gives us a way to get Christensen into the side. I just wish Chris was fit, because he's going to be good. I'm really building him up because I think he's going to be superb. Of course, he's going to be back before too long. He's going to be super. Right, I can't remember who we're even playing next, but by the magic of the internet, let's go and play them now. Well, it turns out we're at home to West Brom, so that's hopefully a winnable game, although they did quite well last season and finished, well, they were certainly challenging for a Champions League spot. I don't think they finished there. But we've had to make a couple of changes. Smith and Leader, both unavailable. Smith is injured. He's done his groin. He'll be out for a couple of weeks. Leader is suspended. So Almeida drops down from central midfield to right back. Christensen comes in there. And Thierry Ambrose just comes straight in for Henry Smith up front. Other than that, we are unchanged. So let's go and play West Brom. The media were on the back of Lazio and Aaron at the end of that last game, saying, "Oh, why have they signed these two players who still aren't able to score goals?" It's their debuts. Lazio played for 10 minutes. I don't know if that's a hangover from their last clubs. Perhaps they weren't scoring towards the end of their time there, but it seemed very odd. I'm hoping it's just a little bug. And talking of bugs, let me know if it's something I've done with my Ipswich contract or if this is a bug in the game. Because if it is, this has suddenly become the Ipswich Town save. Because I can't apply for any other jobs in England. There were a couple available in the summer. And I wasn't planning on applying for them. But after not being able to apply for Chelsea last season, I tried just seeing if it would even show me the job advert. And it doesn't. I can apply for jobs abroad, but I can't apply for anything in England. So have I broken the game? Or have I somehow signed a contract with Ipswich that means I can't leave? Is there a minimum amount of time you have to be close to the end of your contract before you can apply for jobs? I've got 2 years left at this point. Let me know in the comments, because if it's broken... yes, Aaron has scored. There you go. The media can get off his back now. But yeah, if the game's broken, it's not a big issue at the moment. I guess when Ipswich sack me, or I retire... I can get a new club then. In the meantime, I've always got the option to go and manage Barcelona or someone. So, Cross comes in. Who does it even come in from? Is that Ambrose out there on the wing? Crosses into Aaron. That's a nice little poacher's finish. That's what he was signed to do. He's been clinical at Dortmund and Dortmund B. So hopefully he's going to be just as clinical for us. And we're 1-0 up against a good West Brom side. And they are dominating us for possession, actually. Less than 40% possession after 25 minutes. But we've had more shots, more clear-cut chances, and that's all I care about. I don't care if we've got the ball or not, as long as we're scoring goals. That was a bit hairy for a second there. Don't really want to defend another corner after how poorly we defended the last one. And again, that is a bit of a mess defensively. Garrett has done well to keep it to 1-0 there. Somewhere in that mess, West Brom had a clear-cut chance. But Ben Garrett, England's number 3. I suppose that would make him England's left back. But you know what I mean. And another good save from Garrett. And another good save from Garrett. Worth every penny of his £5 million. I know I overpay for players sometimes, but Ben Garrett, absolute bargain. What a goalkeeper. Right, we're 1-0 up at half time. Let's do that. And let's go and win this game. That would be nice. It would be nice to get a win under our belts in the first episode in a live com. Tell the live com jinx to do one. It doesn't apply in season 10. This is going to be a good year for us. That's the message we want to send with this episode, with this live com. And I've almost certainly just jinxed it, and I am aware of that. It was like when I was given transfer money to spend. I just can't help myself. Right, what's going on? What's happening? Christensen seems to be struggling for fitness. We're desperately trying to defend a corner and making an absolute hash of it again, and it has now led to an equaliser. What's the deal with corners? We've never had a problem with corners before. Are West Brom just fantastic at corners? The amount of players we've got in the box there, and we still give them that amount of space to shoot in. And after all that talk of Ben Garrett, he didn't even move. And welcome back, Livecom Jinx. Right, come on, we need a winner now. No, we're the ones in blue. Thank you. Right, Almeida up to Aaron, who, I mean, looking at his stats, all he can really do is stand in the middle of the penalty area and score goals. So what he's doing out on the wing, I don't know. It's a good clearance from Dane, but it didn't go far enough, and we're 2-1 down. It's going to be a long season, isn't it? I've broken Ipswich. I'm going to feel a little bit guilty in 10 seasons' time when I'm looking at them in the conference, playing in the Alf Ramsey Arena with 3 sides of it closed, part-time, because I can't... I've ruined this football club. Right. Johnny Vaughan, you can come off. For Gomez, £20 million well spent there. There you go. After saying we wouldn't see Isabella again, I'm going to bring him on for Aaron Cool. And I want to bring Lacio on in a minute. But the strikers have played all right. But I want my Brazilian wonder kid to score a goal. That's why I'm going to keep giving him 10 minutes at the end of each game. That's the way to get goals out of a striker who's not in form. Texera does well there. Ambrose is through. Should have done better, really. Thierry Ambrose, for the first time, really, in his time at Ipswich, has got competition for places. He should be properly on his toes. But does Mr. Big Game Player... how does he respond to that kind of pressure? It's probably the worst thing to do to Thierry. You need to treat him like he's the man. Right, let's bring Lacio on for Aaron and just swap those two over. Go on. This is where we want a piece of Brazilian magic. That's what we're looking for here. He's not even properly fit. I should have brought Sterling on. I shouldn't have made that change at all. I didn't need to take either of the strikers off. They were both playing well. I just want to see this lad do well. And that's a good flick onto Ambrose. Ambrose then flicks it on again himself, not realising he's the furthest man forward. But Gomez has the ball, finds Almeida, and Almeida loses it. And they're going to hit us on the break here, aren't they? Dane is massively out of position, and it's 3-1. Well, we're not in the relegation zone yet, which is the positive to take from this. But that's about the only one at the moment. I've spent £75 million this summer, and we're basically fielding the same team that almost got relegated last year. How long until they sack me? I always start the season by saying how long until they sack me. It's a tradition now. Right, Zaman to Zabeldia, and Zabeldia now misses out, and they're going to hit us on the break again, and Garrett does well. It's an absolute mess in the area again. Dane and Zaman have been playing as a centre-back partnership together for 3 years now. How are they getting so confused with each other today? It's like they've never met before. And I think the game might think they've never met before, because obviously Dane has just joined the club permanently. And I wouldn't mind betting it's something stupid like that. Oh, right. Well, that was an anticlimax. The episode started so nicely. I was so excited. Oh, we are in the relegation zone now. Fantastic. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you pop a like on there. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on watching a club spiral towards administration. And thank you very much for watching.